Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another video. This is a video topic that I have been considering making a video about for the better part of 3.5 years, pretty much ever since I gave birth to my daughter at the end of 2019. I've been thinking about discussing this topic because every time that I even talk about it just a little bit, I get a huge response of other moms who feel the exact same way and who feel like it's not talked about enough. So today we're going to talk about overstimulation in motherhood, what that looks like, and different ways that I personally combat it and handle it on a day-to-day basis so that it doesn't overwhelm me completely. So overstimulation is defined as a person who is physiologically or mentally stimulated to an excessive degree, which if you're a mother, especially a mother of young kids or a kid, then you know that's pretty much what it feels like every single day. Being pulled on and needed and touched, and the noises and crying and asking for different, snacks all day long, plus the noises of listening to kids songs in the car or at home or watching kids shows on the TV. It's just so many things. To me, it feels like I have too many tabs open in my brain a lot of times, and it feels like my brain is just completely overloaded, and I'm thinking about what I'm making for dinner tonight. Do I have all of the ingredients? Has the meat been thawed? What's coming up tomorrow? Does my daughter need bigger shoes? Do they have enough play clothes to get through this spring? What do I have going on with work? What kind of travel do we have coming up? And then all of the rest of it, like our floors are sticky because my son spilled his juice on the floors and the dog just tracked in mud. And it's just so many tabs in my brain all of the time. And it really doesn't really ever end. And so that's why this video I feel like is very important, because it's important to find out how to handle those things and how to approach overstimulation in motherhood, because it's something that you kind of have to sling your arm around and become friends with, I think. I don't think it really goes away until the kids maybe get a little bit older. I have been in this motherhood season for 3.5 years. Like I said, that's how old my daughter is. And I have felt daily and dealt daily with that feeling of overstimulation. And I feel like I've gotten a lot better at it, and I have a much more expansive toolbox. And so I want to share some of that with you today. This video is sponsored by Jafanda, which is a company that was founded in Germany in 2011. I have worked with them before. I love their products. You can see one of them over here. They make incredible air purifiers. And today I want to feature this particular air purifier, which is a desktop sized one. We have moved it into our bedroom, and then the other air purifier that we have from Jafanda, which is larger and for larger spaces, we moved into our kitchen, which has been a great addition to our kitchen because it sucks up any kitchen odors and gets them nice and clean just very, very quickly. We've noticed such a big difference in our allergies and in that kind of tingling, dusty allergy feeling that you get in your sinuses when the air is dusty and not clean. Even with all of the attempts that we make to keep this house clean, it still soaks in and the pollen comes in the door and all of that. So being able to have such awesome appliances in our house to help with the air quality has been fantastic. So we will get to Jafanda and their products here in just a second, but I wanted to say thank you to Jafanda for sponsoring this video. The hard thing with maternal overstimulation is that it doesn't just end with feeling overstimulated. Oftentimes it can exacerbate or create anxiety, depression, overwhelm, exhaustion, even rage is a very common response. I have definitely experienced that when you feel so overwhelmed and overstimulated that you become angry and you're like a mean mom to your kids or a mean spouse because you're just so over the top at that moment. Definitely, I have been there. The feeling of sensory overload and the feeling of maternal overstimulation can absolutely be amplified by different conditions like PTSD, autism, ADHD, anxiety, depression, and any other kind of neurodivergence that can really make the feelings of being overwhelmed and overstimulated turned up a lot. Although there have been days in my motherhood journey where I have felt alone in feeling this level of overstimulation and struggling with it, if you Google maternal overstimulation, there are almost 200,000 search results, and the bulk of them are articles and blog posts and videos of other moms talking about their feelings of overstimulation. There has been research done on this. There has been actually quite a lot talked about with this. I think a lot more could be done as well. But it's one of those things. I've seen a meme going around on Instagram, and it's something to the effect of a mother is saying, I'm drowning, I'm drowning, I'm drowning in this feeling of constant need and so many tasks and so much stimulus. And the other person is saying, you're doing a great job, you're a superhero. And the mom's like, I really am drowning. And they're like, you're an awesome mom. And it does feel like that sometimes, doesn't it? Where you do feel that just overwhelming feeling, and yet the world is just like, well done, you're so good at being a mom, and you're like, I need help, I need reprieve. So let's talk about some of the ways that I have found reprieve through the overstimulation of motherhood and in my journey. One of my favorite ways to combat this feeling of overwhelm is to keep one room in our home a haven. So for us, it is our bedroom, and we really take the time. I mean, it's clean in here. And it's pretty much clean in here all of the time. We really try to make the bed every single day and keep it fresh and keep the decor very light and airy. We don't keep a lot of clutter in here. And so it's just a very relaxing and peaceful environment. And even when the rest of the house seems to have been through just the chaos of every day with 2 toddlers, I really try to keep our bedroom door closed so that when it's time for us to unwind and come into the bedroom, it's peaceful and it's a haven. One of my favorite ways to create a haven-like experience and a peaceful experience here in our bedroom is to use our new Defonda air purifier. So this is the desktop version. Like I said earlier, it comes in the blue color that I have, as well as a really beautiful pink color and a gray color. I love knowing that the air in our bedroom is fresh and clean, and I really notice a difference when I come in here. It's just, I feel like I can take a deep breath. So this air purifier actually has 3 filters. So it is small but mighty. So it has a pre-filter, which filters out hair, dander, fiber, and large particles. And then it has the H3 HEPA filter in the middle that filters out smoke, pollen, dust, and things like that. And then there's an activated carbon filter that will filter out VOCs, cigarette odors, pet odors, and other harmful gases. So you are getting very, very, very clean air. In fact, the filtration system in this machine is so advanced that it delivers 50 times stronger filtration than conventional carbon sponge filters. It actually captures up to 99.97% of the particles that are in the air down to 0.3 microns. And I am telling you, you can seriously tell a difference. When you wake up in the morning, the air in the room has that fresh feeling. And like the one that we have out in our kitchen area, if we cook something and it gets a little bit smoky, or a little bit, if it's something that has a very strong fragrance or odor, within minutes, these air purifiers are incredible. They filter that out, and it's just that fresh air once again. So we have both of them on pretty much 24/7, and the one that we have in the kitchen that is a larger model has an auto setting that we keep on, and it kicks up when we are cooking something that has more smoke or steam or whatever, and really kicks the filtration into a higher gear. And then just during the day when those things aren't happening, it continues filtering the air just at a lower setting. I absolutely love this desktop sized one that we have in our bedroom, and I think it's the perfect addition to a home office or an out-of-home office, especially an out-of-home office where you can't control who's reheating what for lunch, who's wearing too much perfume, all of those kinds of things. Being able to have your personal air purifier, it's virtually silent. I have it on right now. I'm sure you cannot hear it in this video. And so you can have it on and have it filtering your air all day long. Silent. It also has a really cool, you can see it going right now, I have it on the sort of rainbow setting, but it has really cool lights. The lights are completely adjustable ambiance lights. So you can choose what color, or if it cycles through all of them or stays on one, or if the light is completely off, which I think is really nice. I like setting it to the yellow color in the evening because it reminds me of sort of like a candle. It's very dim and soft and comforting. Aside from the technology, my very favorite thing about this particular air purifier is that it has an aromatherapy pad in the middle. So you click out this little tiny spot in the very center of where the bladeless fan is, and there's a little aromatherapy pad in there, and I put lavender essential oil on it every night before bed and click it back in. So then not only is the air in our room fresh and clean and pure, but it smells like lavender, and it's this light infusion of lavender. Obsessed. We absolutely love it. I have been getting such good sleep using this in our room, and I love the idea of putting it in, like I said, an office or any other small, you could put it in your kids' rooms, and then you could use the same kind of thing if you wanted to do some aromatherapy in there as well. Jafanda has air purifiers for every different type of room that you could ever imagine, even whole house air purifiers, so make sure you go ahead and check them out. I truly highly recommend it. I only work with companies that I love and believe in, and this is a company that has truly improved our day-to-day life, our allergies, our sleep, the quality of our indoor air, and I really love the company. I've loved working with them, and their products have been stellar. So I'll leave a link below with my coupon code that you can get some dollars off of your Jafanda order, but go ahead and grab one of these air purifiers, especially as we head into spring with the pollen swirling outside. You're gonna want one. Outside of our air purifier in our bedroom, as well as just keeping it free and clean and clear of clutter, we also have touch dimmers installed on both of our lamps so that we can have our lights be nice and dim in the evening when we're laying in bed chatting or reading, which is really nice. And we have a high quality white noise machine that we turn on each evening as well. So our air is clean, there's a nice white noise going, and we have our lights low, and we have, you can see our room is painted this very soothing, lovely blue color that we have loved for the better part of 7 years of living in this house. So that's my first tip, is to keep one room as your haven, guard it with your life, close the door, lock the door during the day if you need to. I understand how little hands are quick and sneaky and they can get into rooms and move things around very quickly. So for that reason, we get our room reset in the morning, we get out the door, and the door gets closed, and the kids know that they're not allowed to be in here during the day, because I want to have that haven in the afternoon when they're taking their nap, and then in the evening when it's their bedtime. My second tip for handling maternal overstimulation is to read fiction. I got a Kindle, I have it sitting right here, last, I think, August, and I have devoured fiction ever since. I think I've only read one nonfiction book ever since I got it, and just in 2023 I've already read 19 books, and I have, I think, about 20% or maybe even only 10% left of my 20th book, which I'll finish tonight for sure. I absolutely love reading fiction. I have my phone here where I wrote some of the research. I looked up some of the benefits of reading fiction. And did you know that reading fiction actually provides more benefit from a research standpoint than reading nonfiction? It does. I did not expect that. There's research in the Harvard Business Journal that suggests that reading literary fiction is an effective way to enhance the brain's ability to keep an open mind while processing information, which is a necessary skill for effective decision making. There's other research that says, which I will link below as well, within 6 minutes of reading, participants in a particular research study, their heart rates slowed and the tension in their muscles eased up to 68% within 6 minutes of reading fiction. This is true. This is absolutely true. I have had so many people ask me, how are you reading so much? And it is because I have become addicted to the feeling of reading fiction, because my whole body and mind relaxes in a way that is so wonderful and so combative to the daily overstimulation. Every single evening I get into bed, I get our room in its nice peaceful state, and I read. And like last night, I was up late reading, but I still wake up feeling refreshed because it's just hours well spent. I absolutely love it. So I highly recommend, if you're a mom, I really, really, really recommend the Kindle. I definitely for years held out because I was such a paper book person, but honestly, it's so much better for my lifestyle because the Kindle is synced across all of my devices. So if I have my phone with me, I have my book with me, it automatically syncs to wherever you are. And for long books, I will oftentimes purchase the Audible narration, which you get at a discount when you've already purchased the Kindle ebook. And then there's technology called Whisper Sync. And so between Audible and your Kindle, you will stay at the same place. So like I read probably 6 or 8 chapters last night. And then this morning when I was taking a walk, I turned on my audiobook and it picked up where I left off last night. And if I pick up my Kindle again this afternoon during nap time, it will pick up on my Kindle where I left off from the audiobook. It's called Whisper Sync. It's incredible. It's really helpful when you have kids. But anyway, read fiction. It is truly, it's like a deep breath. Every evening when I open up my Kindle and I get to read a little bit more of my book, I just love it. I love it so much. It's so relaxing and it really resets me and helps me ground myself and relax after a day of being a parent. Another tip that will sound sort of abstract when I first say it, but I promise I will give some specific examples and specific ideas, is to carve out small little moments, little pit stops during your day where you can sort of catch your breath and come down from the constant need of babies needing to be held and nursed and toddlers needing snacks and needing their crayons and then the crayons going on the walls and then scrubbing the walls and then like I've lived it. I live it every day. I love my life. I love being a mom and it's also hard. The stimulation and the overstimulation for me is very hard. So I've written down some ideas of things that I have done or do or things that I know my friends do that help carve out those pit stops during the day. So the first thing I want to say before I jump in is that you probably will bristle at this if you've never done it. So you'll think, no, she is on a different planet, but I'm telling you, there is a way to make this happen. I have 2 kids and a business and a lot of things going on, and I'm still able to carve out these times. And I have friends who have 4 kids or more, and they still carve out these moments because once you start getting into a rhythm of having moments to catch your breath, they become a necessary part of your day. So one of the things you could do is take a morning walk or just generally get outside by yourself. You could go take your dog for a 15-minute walk in the morning or something like that. Also, when I have my kids in the stroller and they're really chilled out and I'm just walking at a park, that's a very relaxing time. Kids zone out when they're outside. They just love being outside. It relaxes them too. So if you can't have a moment truly to yourself, having your kids in their stroller and pushing them or letting them play on the playground while you just sit outside in the fresh air is awesome as well. Taking a hot shower is another relatively easy way that I find peace every day. I actually installed this really cool little thing on my wall that is a holder for my phone so that I can listen to some of my favorite music while I'm bathing, and it just gives me 20 minutes of peace. I really look forward to my hot showers every day. Another tool in my arsenal that goes against my daily feelings of overstimulation is my Prana Mat, which I've talked about before. It has these little spikes on it and it's a mat like this. You lay it on the floor and you lay on it and it is magical. Something about the way that those little lotuses go into your skin. The first couple minutes it's pretty uncomfortable because they're rounded but still sharp. But after a few minutes you'll feel your body just melt into the mat, and you'll get this tingling warm sensation. And it's one of those things where your brain can only perceive so many feelings and touches at once, and so all of those lotuses going up your whole entire back, and I even have a pillow that I put under my neck, and I have another smaller one that I'll put under my feet. It sends me into this place of calm that I really love. So that's a great tool. I love using that in the evening after I get myself ready for bed for just 20 minutes or so, or even during a particularly hard day. Similar to that, in the same way of kind of sensory input to help combat the overstimulation feelings, is I have an ice roller. This was a suggestion from one of you guys when I was talking on my Instagram stories once about needing to go outside in the cold air and take a few deep breaths. And I got an ice roller off of Amazon. And if you just roll it up and down, there's a nerve that runs right here that really will help to calm down your body. Also, just rolling it on your face, just the cold just helps to kind of bring yourself back into your body. This especially helps me when I'm starting to feel those feelings of frustration or even rage, when I'm just feeling overwhelmed. I'm maybe making this sound like this is constant all day, every day. It's not. I would say it's a constant current, and it ebbs and flows. And I think many of you know what I mean. I don't wake up just completely overstimulated. But also there are times where it flares up during the day when it's a particularly difficult hour or two. And then of course there are times when we're all reading books together and playing and everything's good and relaxed. Some other pit stop ideas that I have and that I utilize are having rituals as far as making hot tea or coffee in the morning, or making hot tea before bed, or I always make a big glass of ice water before bed. Those kinds of things kind of help to ground you, I think, a bit. They at least do for me. Definitely look forward to my coffee ritual every morning. Also, if your kids are still taking naps like mine are, my daughter's more moving into using that time to just sort of rest or maybe play quietly, but either way, they're both getting some rest time every day. And I really try to utilize that time well by doing something that's going to be life-giving to me, whether that's calling a friend or catching up with a friend on Marco Polo, reading a few chapters of my book, making sure that I get a chance to eat something nourishing and filling for the day. If I've just been kind of throwing snacks in my mouth and trying to make it, you know, that those days, they happen sometimes. So utilizing nap time, listening to your favorite music, or if your kids don't do nap time, but maybe you do school drop off, when you're sitting in the drop off line, instead of scrolling through your phone, listening to an audiobook or listening to a podcast that's meaningful to you. I know some people do the Bible in a year and they listen to that. And so you could listen to a few chapters of the Bible and help ground yourself that way. There's so many different things that different folks like to do, but making it an intentional part of your day rather than doing the auto thing, which for most of us is picking up our phone and scrolling, which we'll get to in a minute. Also, praying, journaling, reading your Bible. For me, those things are very, very grounding. So carving out time in the morning, afternoon, during nap time, or evening to do those things really help me feel, again, like I'm coming back into my body and like my soul can have a few moments of rest and peace. And then lastly, exercising. I carved out 2 mornings a week where I go and exercise, and I have held to it. It's been over 6 months now that I've held to that ritual, rhythm, schedule, whatever you want to call it. And it has been so helpful because it kind of gives me an outlet to expend any pent up energy or frustration or difficulty. It gives me a very healthy outlet to kind of release all of that. Plus, obviously exercising is good for your health and all of those benefits too. Now moving on to social media, another tip I have and something that's helped me a lot is to consume social media very, very intentionally. With reading, I really prefer reading to scrolling, and so my screen time on my phone has gone way down since I've really picked up my Kindle and gotten into being a bookworm as I used to be way back when I was a younger kid and I didn't have all the responsibilities that I have now. But I've been more cognizant of who I am watching, whose stories I'm watching, whose posts I'm reading through, like what part of the overstimulation of my life is the dog nonsense that goes on in our neighborhood. So if you can hear that, that just kind of adds to the theming of this video. Really thinking about consuming social media intentionally. I know everybody always says it. There's a book called Digital Minimalism that I'd really like to read. I've heard great things about it, but that might be a good place to start if you have no idea where to start. For me, the book kind of replaced the phone and it's been a really positive swap. Social media is one of those things that kind of numbs us out, scrolling through TikTok, scrolling through Instagram, Facebook, whatever. And so I think some of us feel like, or I at least have had moments in the past where I felt like it was very relaxing, but it's just not. After I scroll through my phone, I'm actually way more stimulated. All the music and people saying this and all the loud opinions and all of it is so much. And there's just no way that that is actually very relaxing. I think it does zone us out, which we do need that sometimes, but you can also be zoned out reading a book. So maybe try that. I'm peddling books hard these days, but it's made such a big difference in my life reading fiction every day rather than scrolling when I need a little bit of a break. Another thing that I use every single day is using headphones, or there are those earplugs, I think they're called loops, that you put in your ears and you can still hear everything, but they just lower the noise volume for people who are sensitive to noise. I'm very sensitive to noise. And so I really use that a lot. If I'm at a point in our day where there's just been a lot of noise, I try to do an activity that's quieter. So I'll pull out paints for the kids or crayons or Play-Doh, or we'll go outside and they can run around in the backyard, and I'll put my headphones in and sometimes I'll listen to a couple of chapters of my book if I'm doing the whisper sync thing, or just music or some kind of like a sermon or something like that to just bring me back to myself. And I find that really helps. And there are settings, the headphones that I use are the AirPod Pros, and there are settings. So there's a transparency setting so I can still hear everything that I need to with the kids and be an engaged parent while also bringing my mind back to a nice even place. Another tip that I have, and this one's a little bit funny, but it makes a big difference, is wearing and buying clothes, or I should say buying and wearing clothes that fit you well and that are comfortable. Sometimes I feel so overstimulated and I realize it's just because my jeans feel too tight or my blouse is scratchy or something like that. So I have taken to pretty much full time when I'm at home with the kids wearing some kind of leggings and some kind of tennis shoe or sneaker and then just like a soft cotton top. I have my hair down for the purposes of this video, but I pretty much always have my hair out of my face because the feeling of like hair coming in my face drives me crazy. I also think that we overlook oftentimes, especially as moms and women who are busy and we have a lot going on, our undergarments. You deserve to have well-fitting undies, a well-fitting bra. Those things make such a big difference in your life. When you're going about all day and everything's kind of itchy and scratchy and it doesn't fit well and you just feel uncomfortable, it actually gets to you. It really does. And over time, you just kind of are like, oh my gosh, my jeans feel too tight and my bra is scratchy and the kids show is too loud and the dinner smells funny and everything, and the dogs are barking, you know? So at least controlling that one thing. I have found that wearing clothes that are truly comfortable to me makes a huge, huge difference in feeling more settled and peaceful every day, which is funny but true. The last thing on my list, of course, is to find support. This is an interesting topic because it's one that whenever I bring it up, I feel that people jump on so quickly. And part of the reason why I feel like that happens is because it's not discussed all that often. You'll hear whisperings of it online, but in real life, I don't hear it as much, like when I'm talking with mom friends. And there have been times before where one of my friends, we've been at a story time and our kids are engaged, you know, doing a craft or something, and they'll say, how are you doing? And I'll say, I'm doing really well today. Yesterday I was extremely overstimulated. It was a long day for me. And they'll say, oh my gosh, me too. By the time my husband came home, I really needed a break, so I went for a drive. We are all facing this to some degree. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, certainly there are people who experience this to a higher degree and people who experience this feeling of overstimulation to a lower degree. And you don't have to be a mom to experience overstimulation, but I've never had it so turned up as during my motherhood journey personally. But we're all kind of walking through this and trying to find ways to effectively and safely and healthfully deal with that feeling. And so I think it's really helpful to hear from other moms and to talk to other moms and confide in others about what you're thinking and feeling and how it's going for you. And do you need to find a therapist? Do you need more time out of the house? Do you need extra hands on deck? Sometimes a village doesn't just transcend upon us. I used to talk about this a lot because it really bothered when people be just like, find your village, find your village. Sometimes that doesn't really happen. You're like looking for a village, you're not really finding one. Sometimes it just requires grit and figuring out a way to get what you need. So for me, that's been finding a way to be at the gym 2 days a week, even when it's really hard. I'm exhausted because I was up all night with the baby, or work is really busy and I really need to put in extra time, but I find a way because I know that release is so important to me. It's things like that. We as women are very sacrificial with our time, and especially when it relates to raising our kids. And I think it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful part of motherhood. It's truly a beautiful, blessed sacrifice. But that doesn't mean that we have to go through life just limping along and feeling like we are at our wits' end with 400 brain tabs open. I hope this video encourages you to find some ways to close out some of those tabs in your brain and find yourself a bit more peaceful. Carve out some times and pit stops during your day. Buy clothes that don't make you feel itchy and overstimulated, and just kind of come back into ourselves as moms and women so that we can walk through these days and years of motherhood that are overstimulating at times, and come out on the other side still feeling like we've maintained our sense of self and our peace. So anyway, that is what I have to say about overstimulation in motherhood, my experience with it, some things that really help me get through each day and keep myself and my senses at a more level place. Thanks again to Jafonda for sponsoring this video. Once again, I will leave a link below that you can use to get some money off of your order. I will see you again very soon. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the bell for notifications. Bye guys.